Okay, welcome back. Last time we made our way through Generation 5, that being Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2, to pick our favourite Pokemon introduced in the Unova region. And honestly, yeah, looking at all of these, I'm pretty happy so far. So today we're going to be moving on to Generation 6, that being Pokemon X and Y, and the Pokemon of the Kalos region. First up, obviously, our normal types, and obviously So Pidgeot, Kangaskhan, Lopunny, and Ordino all have Mega Evolutions. Mega Evolutions will not be considered. They'll be counted as if they were Legendaries, basically. So they will have their own spot later on for favourite gimmick form. However, I will say, if I did have to pick a favourite Mega out of these, I'm not going to tell you, because that will come later on in the video. So, I do want to say, I do quite like Furfrou. Furfrou has massively gone up in my estimations recently, because I had one in my playthrough of Pokemon Y that I did on the channel back in October. Well, I started it in October, it finished around Christmas-ish. And honestly, Furfrou was a Pokemon that I had not thought about in the slightest before then. Like, I think even when I found it, it was more of a just, oh, it's a Furfrou. And then I actually decided to use it, and it was super good. Like, Fur Coat makes it pretty tough to bring down, especially early game, and Stab Headbutt is always good early game. Unfortunately, due to some other Pokemon, Furfrou is not going to be my pick here. That pick is going to Pyroar. I don't really have a specific preference on the male or the female version of Pyroar. I think they both look cool. And realistically, I think it's just cool to have a nice cool lion Pokemon. Like, it looks cool. I don't really see the point of it being normal fire type, but hey, I'll take it. It looks cool. I like how it fits with Lysander's aesthetic, because it's like his main Pokemon. Whether that was a joke about a lion's mane, I will leave that up to you as I move on to fire types. And obviously, Legendaries and Megas are not included. Primal reversions I'm also counting as not viable options here. So, this comes down to Talonflame or Brixen. And personally, because I like Brixen a little bit more than I like Delphox, I'm going to go for Brixen on this one. So far, Fire type is kind of winning, but hey, that's just how things go sometimes. So yeah, the first time I played X and Y, I chose Fennekin as my starter Pokemon, and when I was, maybe a teensy little bit concerned when I saw it evolve for the first time and it stood up. And you know what? I can't really complain, Brixen is actually super good. Like, I know that obviously there are better statistically there are better Pokemon. If I was talking in a competitive sense, I imagine Delphox probably isn't all that good. But I don't know, I've always just quite liked Brixen, and also the fact that it maintains, like the fact that it gets some psychic moves but doesn't have the psychic typing yet is kinda nice, because it gives you a little bit more coverage on stuff without the added weaknesses to like Dark and Ghost and stuff. And also, I just think it looks kinda cool. Moving on to Water type Pokemon. And I'm gonna be honest, this is kinda slim pickings here, because I'm gonna be totally honest, I do not care for Greninja very much. It is not a Pokemon that I am particularly fond of. Like, it's fast, it's strong, it has Protean, which is super busted in Gen 6. Like, it's a frog ninja, its shiny looks sick, and I don't like it. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know why. Greninja is a Pokemon that I feel like I should really like. I know it's one of the most popular Pokemon in existence, but I've just never liked it, and I don't know why. So, I think I have to go with Clawitzer for this. You know what? Clawitzer can win on this, partially because I think its shiny is kind of cool. Well, two, I think the fact that it just has like one giant claw that it kind of uses like as a howitzer cannon, basically. Because, that's literally where it gets its name from. It's like a claw howitzer, so it's a clawitzer. And, yeah, it's, hilariously slow. It's not the best as Pokemon. Like, by basically every single metric, Greninja kind of outperforms it. But I don't know, I've always just thought it looked kinda cool. And I don't think I've ever actually used one on a team, because I think I only played X once. I think I only ever played Pokemon X once, and it was in the playthrough where I used Greninja. So, that's actually a little bit weird. But I don't know. I think in terms of, like, design and everything, I've always kind of liked Clawitzer more. Like, I don't know, this is one of those ones where, like, it wins by proxy of I just don't like the objectively better option. Okay, so moving on to grass types. And this is a simple choice. This is Go-Goat. I love Go-Goat. And Skiddo. Skiddo is super cute, and Go-Goat is a really nice evolution for it. Fun fact, both Skiddo and Go-Goat, I managed to find as shinies in X and Y about not in X and Y, in Scarlet and Violet. I found them as shinies about like 8 or 9 months apart, because I found a shiny Go-Goat while I was looking for a shiny Magneton, and I found a shiny I found a shiny Skiddo while I was looking around like Halloween time during the shiny Mimikyu event. Well, not the shiny Mimikyu event, but like where they had the mass outbreaks of Mimikyu. So I do have that. That entire line as shinies in Gen 6, not in Gen 6, in Gen 9. But yeah, Go-Goat is pretty bulky. I think it's faster than I think it is. It looks cool. It's got a kind of pointless but fun little thing you can do with it in Lumio City. It's just I don't know. I think it is one of my favorite grass types, and realistically, it's kind of slim pickings here. I'm not the biggest fan of the Chespin line, and Trevenant is probably gonna win for Ghost. Where's Ghost? There it is. 10, I lost where Ghost type is. I'm off to a great start today. I would say I'm off to a great start today, but it's nearly 8 PM, so I don't really have much of an excuse to go off with this. So, moving on to electric types. And honestly, Cosplay Pikachu, I'm really sorry, it's not going to be Cosplay Pikachu. And it's not going to be a Mega Evolution, so Heliolisk wins by default. I mean, to be fair, Heliolisk was going to win anyway. Although, I will say, if I was including Megas, Mega Ampharos probably wins because that thing is majestic. But yeah, Heliolisk is kind of cool. I like how it kind of works with its sun aesthetic, and I think it's kind of interesting that it's an electric type. Because I guess it's like a solar-powered Pokemon. I know that it's based on some type of lizard that I'm forgetting its name. I think it's like a frilled lizard of some kind. And similar to Pyro, I don't really get why it's part normal type, but I'm not really going to complain about it. And also, I distinctly remember what moveset my one had. It had Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Surf. I don't know why it gets Surf, but I'm glad that it does. And also, it also gets Dark Pulse. So that was my go-to set with it. And honestly, I remember it being pretty okay to get through the game with. However, I would also just like to stress, as Helioptile, it isn't the best. But Heliolisk itself is pretty fast, and it hits pretty hard. I do really like Heliolisk. Compared to the other, like, favorite electric types I've picked so far, yeah, it probably doesn't beat them, but, like, it's a good Pokemon. I quite like it a lot. Okay, moving on to ice types. Unfortunately, just like with Gen 5, Gen 6 was not the best time for Ice-type Pokemon to get introduced. However, Aurorus is going to be my pick here, because, one, it has a really nice shiny. And I quite like Ice-types that have, similar with Glaceon, actually. I quite like Ice-type shinies that sometimes are just like, they're kind of just like a more snowy kind of like an icier blue, or like a pale one, like a kind of pale blue, almost snow white. I think that looks super cool on ice types. And also, realistically, it's just not going to be Avalugg. However, I would like to just mention, I'd like to give Bergmite a special mention. Because the first time I played Pokemon Y, I got to the ice cave, walked in like 2 steps, Bergmite appears. I'm so glad I was paying attention to the screen at that second, because I had not seen, this was the first time I'd ever seen Bergmite, and the first one I ever saw was a shiny. And I'm so glad that I chose to catch it. I mean, I was gonna catch it anyway, because I catch one of everything I can on my first playthrough. But, like, I don't know, there is a timeline where I just didn't catch that shiny, and I would feel very, very stupid about it if that had happened. But yeah, Aurorus, it's a cool dinosaur. I love how it has, like, the entire Aurora thing going for it. Like, unfortunately, Rock Ice is kind of a brutal typing to have to deal with. Like, it's kind of a brutal typing to have to deal with, you know, being quad weak to both fighting and steel. But I think it just looks really cool, and it gets Refrigerate. Oh my kingdom for Glaceon to have Refrigerate. Genuinely. Actually, can someone tell me, is there, like, a ROM hack or something where Glaceon has Refrigerate? Because Sylveon, which we'll get to later in Fairy types, it gets Pixelate. So, I know, okay, I know that Glaceon has a hidden ability in Gen 5. Why does it not get Refrigerate in Gen 6? The abilities have been changed in the past. We know this. Like, going into Gen 7, Gengar loses Levitate and gets Cursed Body. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling and move on to fighting types. And honestly, this one's gonna be Hawlucha. Hawlucha looks cool. It's got, like, the entire Lucha Libre thing going on. I think I mentioned it in the playthrough, but I quite like a shiny. I did find a shiny in the playthrough. I did find a shiny by complete chance. Also, I choose to believe, I don't know if there's anything to back this up, but I choose to believe that the base form is like Hawlucha, but it's the face, and then it's shiny as its heel version. Basically, for the non-wrestling fans here, it's basically just the good guy and the bad guy version. I don't know if there's anything actually to that, but I think that's kind of cool, so I choose to believe that. Also, Flying Press is a very unique move, especially for the time. Actually, now that I think about it, I can't really think of all that many moves that do that now, even. Like, I know there's Freeze Dry, which is an ice move that's super effective on water types. But anyway, yeah, Hawlucha looks cool, it's fast, it's strong, it is just pretty solid all around, and realistically, Pangoro and Chesnaught, I just don't quite like all that much, so so Hawlucha was running by default. On to poison types. Man, this is... I would say this is slim pickings, but there aren't any pickings, because I can't pick a Mega. So I guess we go with Dragalge. Like... I mean, its shiny's kind of nice, I'll give it that. Like, it's got a kind of seaweed thing going on, which, you know, makes perfect sense, because it is the algae Pokemon. Basically, my main fault with Dragalge is it took so long to get a poison dragon, and this was what we got. I don't know. When I think of poison dragon as a type combination, yeah, a more defensive algae Pokemon is not what I would have expected. I'm pretty sure it's more defensive. I think it is. I will... Hopefully I'm remembering that correctly. Obviously, I don't remember every Pokemon's stats off the top of my head. Okay, moving on to ground types, because I don't really have anything else to say here, because, realistically, this is just here because the other options don't exist. And it's going to be the same for Diggersby. Like, it's just a rabbit that gets huge power, which to be fair, getting huge power at what, like level 18, level 20, something like that, that's kind of insane. Like, Diggersby can do some damage. Especially because it naturally I'm pretty sure it naturally gets Belly Drum at some point, and it can get Earthquake. So yeah, like, you can probably just run, like, I don't know, Quick Attack, Body Slam, either Quick Attack, Body Slam, or Return, or something like that, at Earthquake and some other fourth move, and probably be fine for most of the game. Moving on to Flying type. Also, yeah, basically, these two these two win by default. Flying type, and that is a lot because of Vivian. I'll be honest, if I have to pick my favorite form of Vivian, I don't actually know which one it is. I don't even remember which one is in, like, which one would be, like, my local version. I want to say it's this one, but I don't actually remember where each one corresponds to. I'm pretty sure these two were, like, special event ones. And I know that the rest of them are, like, dependent on, like, where you are in the world, I think. I think the pink wings are, like, the standard base one, though? I don't know. Either way, it's not going to be Vivian, and it's not Horlucha. And, I'll be honest, Gilwing's Talonflame is kind of nutty, but I've never actually particularly liked Talonflame all that much. So, this one's going to be Noivern. This one's going to be Noivern because there is a dragon coming up that I like a fair bit. It's not my favorite dragon of all time, but it's one that I am rather fond of. Noivern, though, is fast, it hits hard, and for a very long time, especially when I first saw it, I thought that its ears were its eyes, and that actually kind of messed me up a bit. Also, Noibat is kind of cute. It's just a little bat dragon thing. And then Noivern is super sick. Like, it's really fast, it hits really hard. Boom Burst just does a ton of damage. And now we can move on to Psychic types. And this one narrows down to Malabar. Delphox is disqualified because I already picked Brixen, and Meowstic, because obviously all of these are either Megas or Legendaries. Also, Shadow Mewtwo from Pokken is here. I never actually played Pokken, but it didn't. But like, as someone who likes I like fighting games. I like Pokemon. But Pokken itself, its gameplay, never interested me. And at some point, I feel like I should at least try playing it, though. Okay, moving on. No, wait. Yeah, it's Meowstic. Meowstic is kind of just here by default, really. Because Malamar is okay, I think. Like, Contrary Malamar is kind of funny. Because it's just like, oh, it's literally, well, I used superpower, attack, defense, and speed went up. But I don't know, I think Meowstic just kind of looks cooler. And I do like how it has two versions, depending on whether it's the male or the female one, that both look completely different. And I don't remember if their level of movesets are different, but I think one of them is slightly more geared towards offense and the other is slightly more geared towards defense. So I personally prefer the female Meowstic. I think it looks really cool. Also, Esper is still kind of unsettling. But, you know what? It evolves into a really cool Pokemon. Moving on to Bug type. And this is a dire state of affairs. Okay, so I guess I'll just go with the Pink Wing Vivian, because I think that's what the game says is the base one. I think that's one that Viola has, so I'll just go with that. And realistically, all of these other options are Mega Evolutions, so Vivian joins Dragalge and Diggersby as winning by default. So now we move on to Rock types, and this one is easy. This one is Tyrantrum all day long, because Tyrantrum would also win for Dragon types. But I like the other dragons that are available more than I like Barbaracle, and I'll be honest, I just do not care for Carbink. Like, I mean, realistically, if it hasn't become incredibly obvious by now, defense is not my, it's not my key priority in my favorite Pokemon, you know? Also, no wait, that's Ghost types, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, it's kind of just a rock. I've never been a big fan of it. I do quite like, I don't know, I'm still a little 50-50 on the belief that it should evolve into Diancie. I feel like that would be kind of busted if a Pokemon, like if Carbink evolved into a Pokemon that was as good as Diancie and then Mega Diancie. But whatever, Tyrantrum is strong, it's fast, it has strong jaw, it has pretty good physical defense, if I recall correctly. And my only real issue with it is it's a specified time of day evolution, which is a little bit annoying. But also, you get an access to it really early on. You get it, like, before the second gym. I mean, to be fair, in Pokemon X and Y, obviously, you do have quite a long gap between the first and second gyms. But yeah, Tyrantrum is fantastic. In my first playthrough, the first time I ever played Pokemon Y, I went into, like, I got most of the way through the game, and I only used, like, 2 or 3 Pokemon. I had my Delphox, I had a Tyrantrum, and that was pretty much the 2 I ran with for most of the game. I got near the end and added a Gengar, because I wanted to use Mega Gengar, and, yeah, that was kind of wild, not gonna lie. But anyway, speaking of Gengar and Ghosts, let's move on to the Ghost types. Yeah, it's Trevenant. Trevenant is super cool. Cool Ghost Tree Pokemon. Also has an absolutely amazing shiny. Like, that is one of my favorite shinies, period, I think. Like, I'd need to look at all of them, like, you know, right next to each other. But Trevenant has one of my favorite shinies. It's not the fastest Pokemon in the world, but it hits kind of hard. I think it has pretty solid defense. And honestly, if it wasn't for Go-Goat, well, okay, it would be there for Grass type as well, which is why Go-Goat won there. Because obviously I'm trying not to double up on these. So yeah, it is just a really cool Pokemon. Gourgeist, I don't know, I think I like Pumpkaboo more than I like Gourgeist. I don't know, whatever. Moving on to Dragon types. And, well, all of these are legendaries or megas. Noivern's been picked, Tyrantrum's been picked, Dragalge's been picked. So, here's my question. Goodra. Why is it pure dragon? It evolves in the rain. Why is it not water dragon? It is made of, it has like all the goo stuff. Why is it not poison dragon? Why is this thing pure dragon type? I do not know, but I am okay with it. It's also a great example of a special defensive powerhouse, because I think it has like base 150 special defense or something. It's kinda nutty like that. Like, it also gets really good move coverage. Its move pool is kind of insane, and it has pretty solid stats across the board, I think. If I recall correctly. I think it's slow. Oh, but honestly, it is a pretty solid pseudo-legendary Pokemon for the Kalos region. Also, it's just really cute. It's definitely, like, I think, Goodra and Dragonite are, like, top 2 undisputed cutest, whatchamacallit, pseudo-legendaries. Like, unfortunately, I don't think Tyranitar, Salamence, Metagross, Garchomp, and Hydreigon and them, I don't think they're really competing with it most of the time on that regard. Okay, moving on to Dark type. Now, so, you remember about, I'm going to say like 15-20 minutes ago, when I said, I do not like Greninja, but I listed off a whole bunch of reasons why I should like Greninja. Because it's fast, it's strong, it gets pretty, it looks cool. Ash Greninja is a thing in Gen 7. I'm not picking it for that. It has a super cool shiny. By pretty much every single metric, I should like this Pokemon, but I just don't. Yeah, Greninja wins for Dark type here. Like, undisputed best option here for me. Like, unfortunately, Malamar, like, Contrary is a fun gimmick the first couple of times, then I kind of just get bored of it. Also, I hate its evolutionary requirement. Like, Inkay is cute, but I want to know who thought of, oh, turn the DS upside down as the evolutionary requirement. That is one of the weirdest ones I've seen. And Pangoro, okay, I'll give credit where it's due. I think the Pangoro evolution requirement is simultaneously very stupid and very funny. Because Pangoro evolves from Pancham at level 32 when you have a dark type in your party, and it gains the dark fight. It becomes a dark fighting type because, as far as I can understand it, it's just like, oh, the dark type was a bad influence on it, and I think that is kind of funny. But yeah, Greninja clears here. I'm glad that I don't have to pick my favorite Ivrim. Like, if I was including Megas here, I would have to choose between these two, and that would be a bad time. So, moving on to Steel types, and Aegislash wins this by default. Aegislash wins this by default because I do not care for Klefki. Like, I don't have any problems with Klefki. I'm not someone who is in the camp of, oh, it's the stupid keychain Pokemon. And, like, not that bothered about it. But I don't know, I've just never liked Klefki. I know what it does. I know what it does, and I know that it can do that quite well. But I've just never particularly been fond of it. And, to be fair, I'm not the biggest fan of Aegislash either. Like, I mean, to be fair, Steel type in general is not my favourite type. But Aegislash, it's just a cool kind of Sword and Shield Pokemon, which, now that I think about it, is a little bit weird, because hang on, wait, I need to double check something real quick. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I had to quickly just go and check, because for a second, I forgot if, the Honedge line, I forgot if the Pokemon that was literally a Sword and Shield were in Sword and Shield or not. They are. Doublade can appear, like, near Hammerlock as a wild encounter, I think. Like a static encounter. Not a static encounter, like one of the ones that's, like, always popping up on the overworld. Oh, but yeah, Aegislash, it does offense and defense well. Priority is kind of nice. Unfortunately, it is one of those Pokemon that, like, if you randomize the abilities, it kind of breaks, because it needs stance change. Because King's Shield, to change, between Sword and Shield form for offense and defense. But it does a lot. If I recall correctly, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, because competitive is not my area of expertise, either Smogon or VGC. But I'm pretty sure in Smogon, at least, it got banned away to Ubers for, like, the entirety of Gen 6. It might have even stayed there for Gen 7, but I don't know. So, I imagine it's still probably pretty solid even now in Gen 9. Anyway, moving on to Fairy type, and this is an easy choice for me. So this one is going to be Sylveon. I do want to give special mention to Slurpuff here. Also, fun fact, Florges. Florges is also cool. I would like to give special mention to Florges because I used one on my team at the end of the playthrough. Yeah, it was super good. And I would like to give special mention to Eternal Flower Floette. The Pokemon that we have known has been in the code for these games for, what, like 10, 11 years now? And to my knowledge, has never officially been released. Why? That Pokemon exists. We know it exists. Like, has it ever been distributed at any form of event, legitimately? Like, I would genuinely like to know. Oh, will we ever see this Pokemon actually come out? Because honestly, I think since Game Freak kind of just abandoned Gen 6 to jump to Gen 7, I honestly question if we will ever see it legitimately in where it should have been. But yeah, Sylveon, it looks cute, it's kind of cool. Well, it uses the Pokemon-Ami mechanic thing like, you have to use that to get Sylveon. I think that's a great little way to encourage the player to use it. Also, Pixelate is a super good ability on it. It has good special defense, it has good special attack. It's not the fastest Pokemon in the world, but it's pretty solid. Now to think about it, it's almost it's similar in a couple of ways to Glaceon, only, you know, it definitely has the advantage of being fairy type and not ice. And it also, you know, gets pixelate and Glaceon doesn't get refrigerate. I'm definitely not bitter about that. Not at all. Also, I love how the shiny form flips the pinks and the blues on it, and its eyes are so bright. But yeah, I think Sylveon is a kind of cool Pokemon. So, moving on to the final 3 things in this episode. Favorite starter Pokemon for the first time, well, sorry, for the second time, this is a no-brainer of a choice. This is Fennekin. And for me, I like Fennekin's evolutionary line all the way through. Like, Fennekin is my favorite first form, Vixen is my favorite second form, Delphox is my favorite final form, although I do like it a bit less than I like Vixen and Fennekin. But Fennekin is very good, I'm a big fan of it. Favorite gimmick form, so, Mega... So, let's just see here. Mega Gallade, Absol, Banette... Oh, no, wait, it's Mega Absol. It's Mega Absol by default. It's Mega Absol by default because it hadn't been included, because I didn't pick it for the Gen 3 one. So, Mega Charizard X has already been picked, Houndoom's already been picked, same with Banette and Gallade, and I'll be real here, yeah, Absol is a top 3. Like, Banette, Houndoom, Absol are my top 3, so, top 3 in no particular order. I would just like to add, sorry, just momentarily had the hiccups for just a moment there. However, I do want to also give special mention to Mega Rayquaza and Primal reversions. Those are both sick. However, these are Gen 3 Pokemon, so I'm not counting them. I mean, realistically, I should probably count this as a Kalos one, but no Kalos Pokemon actually have Mega Evolutions, which, now that I think about it, is a little bit weird. It's like, hey, we finally introduced... It's like, hey, the mechanic we found in the Kalos region, and no Pokemon, aside from Diancie, from the Kalos region, can use it. Which is a little bit weird, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Gen 6 loves a bit of Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4. And, to a much lesser extent, 5, I suppose. Of all Pokemon to get a Mega... represent Gen 5. Why Ordino? That's what I want to know. Anyway, favorite Legendary of Gen 6. I do love how Yveltal and Xerneas are, like, they are kind of like the life and death Pokemon. I think that's kind of cool. But, honestly, okay, Zygarde is a Pokemon I think is cool. I think the dog form is cool. I think the Megazord, as I've seen people refer to it as, is kind of cool. I like the idea of Zygarde, but you find it just kind of hanging out in Terminus Cave, and there's nothing. You catch it and that's it. Its special move isn't in the game, and everything surrounding it was moved to Gen 7. So, I guess this is where I go off on my tangent, because, okay, so, Zygarde is perhaps the most wasted potential of any Pokemon I've ever seen. Like, it is so obvious that it is the Pokemon that a Pokemon Z was supposed to be based on. Like, I don't know if there's ever been, like, an internal thing that, like, yeah, Pokemon Z was meant to be a thing. But I don't know, like, the anime does Pokemon X, Y, and Z. And then, like, Kalos itself feels like it has a lot of kind of unsolved things, unresolved things, like the locked door at the power plant, which is very clearly where Volcanion was meant to hang out. The fact that Diancie has like, Diancie and Hooper have stuff, and then they kind of just disappear. Hooper, like, the Hooper rings are where you find, like, all of the other legendaries in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but Hooper serves no real purpose. It's goofy, it's weird, and it makes no sense to me. There's the train station in, I think it's Coroway Town, that just goes nowhere. And then, the one that irritates me more than any other is in Gen 7, in Sun and Moon. I assume it's also in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. when you go to the battle tree, and you fight your way through for a long time, and you get to red or green. I'm calling him green because the original releases were Pokemon Red and Green. But, blue, whatever you want to call them. Garyoke, whatever you want to call them. Their theme music does not fit in Alola. That battle theme is aggressively Kalos. But no, it's just in Sun and Moon. Also, like, Cena and Dexio are just in Alola. All the stuff for Zygarde is in Alola. It's just a bit pointless. Anyway, my pick here is Yveltal. Yveltal looks cool. One important thing to note, I was like 16, I think, when this game came out. So, yeah, giant dark flying type Death Bird was always going to be my cool choice, because it was the cool, edgy one. Two, I know there's the meme that, like, looks like, hang on, wait. I know people meme on shiny Yveltal. I think it looks cool. Ooh. I don't know, I think it does look really cool. And, yeah. Also, Oblivion Wing is a sick name for a move. Like, it is a Pokemon that I think looks cool. And, I'll be honest, I tend to not use Legendaries in my playthroughs, so I've never really used it. But, like, to be fair, I kind of stopped using Legendaries in playthroughs, like, around about here. And, like, obviously, I've gone back and I haven't gone back and played, like, Gen 1, 2, 3 and them without Legendaries. But I don't know. Yveltal, definitely, I don't know, I've always just liked it over Xerneas. Like, I picked Pokemon Y for a reason, you know? And with that, with that long, rambling, slightly angry rant about Gen 7, and my pick of my pick of Yveltal, I am done with Gen 6. So, just to recap, we have Pyro, Brixen, Klortza, Gogoat, Heliolisk, Aurorus, Holucha, Dragalge, Diggersby, Noivern, Female Meowstic, Vivian, Tyrantrum, Trevenant, Goodra, Greninja, Aegislash, Sylveon, Fennekin, Mega Absol, and Yveltal. I should also probably note, on the main channel, because I've been, like, redoing all of these 4 branch talks about, but, like, on the main channel I did, like, basically this exact same video where I talked about my favorite Pokemon in Gen 6, like, back in July last year, I think. So, honestly, I don't know how much of my opinions on these have changed, but hey, I guess you can compare and contrast if I remember to either link it or still have that video up, I don't know. Anyway, next time we're going to be moving on to Generation 7, and the Pokemon of the Alola region, from Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of Pokemon from Gen 7 that I like, so, we'll just see how this one goes. So I am going to end off today's episode here. As always, the link to this will be in the description, and feel free to tell me your choices in the comments. And as always, feel free to leave a comment or click any buttons down below if you feel so inclined, and I will hopefully see you all in the next one. Okay, thanks for watching. Later.